Hello, everyone. Welcome to the You Like That podcast, season 5. The revamped, new looking, new angled, new lit show, I guess. First off, thanks to everyone for coming out to the 100th episode live stream to send off Jack, which, as you can see, he gone. That's it. He's done. What an absolutely incredible run it has been through 100 main show episodes, 39 extras, plus the bonus random content we just threw out on the channel because fucking why not? It was absolutely amazing. Sad, but a good little break to get this all sorted. And I'm hoping this is a new chapter in the turn for the podcast. And I hope a lot of you are stuck around with me to see this through and to see where we're pushing on with this here. So if you are still here from back beyond when, just let me know. Let me know that you're still here from being at day one or even a couple weeks in. Because we all know those early episodes were trial and error. And let's be honest, listen to Uncut Gems. You'll understand what I mean by that one there. But anyway, let's get the sad stuff out of the way here. We're here for the new and improved You Like That podcast solo. It's just me. My name is Adam. I'm now the whole of You Like That podcast, which is so weird to say, but hey, I'm going to make these nice and quicker and easy for you guys to get through. I'm going to make it more attainable, more digestible, so you're not clicking on an hour video going, that's a lot to fucking watch. No. 20 or 25 minutes, maybe half it, depending on the movie. We'll see what happens. I'm a bit more rambling in this one because, let's be honest, it's episode 101. It's the start of season 5. Who knows, all this can go terribly wrong, and this may never see the light of day. But we press on. Now, let's get away from all this. Let's jump straight into this episode. Today's episode 101, we're going to be looking at Guillermo Del Toro's latest flick, Nightmare Alley. We're going to jump into some news, the way that we always used to do it. I'm going to end off with some questions as always, and round off the pod the way. We'll see how it rounds off when we get to it. All right, kicking off the news. We have the first real official trailer for Moon Knight. The Oscar Isaac-led new entry into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Streaming on Disney+. We've got the official March 30th. It begins streaming on Disney+. We got a brief look into... Well, it was more Oscar Isaac as Mark Spector, as the human counterpart to this character. We eventually, later in the trailer, do see him transform into Moon Knight, which is a really cool looking transformation as his whole body sort of wraps around under the guise of the moon. And, you know, it's sort of more of a teaser trailer. We're not shown a lot. We're not shown nothing. You know, we get a good shot of Ethan Hawke, who is playing, I had it written down, and, oh my god, Dr. Arthur Harrow. Fuck. Yeah, that's who he's playing. Who that could be, this is all new to most of us Marvel Cinematic Universe people. Obviously, you comic people probably know more than we do. But he's looking like just a weird doctor-looking dude. Oscar Isaac is donning this incredibly, very overdone British accent, which I'm hearing a lot of people not being the fondest on. But hey, that is what it is, isn't it? There are some first glimpses of Khonshu. Khonshu being the Egyptian god of vengeance, who resurrected Mark Spector and blessed him with the powers under the moon. So, if anyone's seen any sort of comic strips with Moon Knight, you notice there's this god creature, sort of wears a suit and has like the bird skull protruding out of his face type deal. Cool looking thing in this. The little glimpses that we saw is very like shadowy and mystic. This is looking like another dark entry into the MCU. What they do with that from there, who knows? Obviously, this is setting up to lead more into the darker part of Marvel where we're going with like Doctor Strange 2, the upcoming Deadpool that we'll get, Blade, Dark Knight, everything. Black Knight, sorry, not Dark Knight, it's not fucking DC. Dark Knight, Black Knight, killing me here. I'm absolutely killing myself here. That was a cool little trailer we got there. So March 30th, Moon Knight starts streaming. The Batman confirmed allegedly, to have a 2 hour and 55-minute runtime. Boy, they're really shooting for the stars on this one here. I'm all for it. A lot of Batman, and from what we've seen, I'll take all the Batman that we can. If they have that much faith in this movie, and certain people have come out that have been able to do early test screenings, very positive from what we've heard so far. We're getting a lot more trailers and everything to come out. So we're starting to see a lot more unravel. And look, we're all keen for the Batman. It's our bats as Batman. It's going to be sick. We're going to get that soon. Boy, I cannot wait for that one. Mission Impossible. That is still going. Number 7 and number 8 have been delayed by a year respectively each. Number 7 to now be released in July of 2023, and the 8th one to be released in June 2024. Now, why are we still getting Mission Impossible movies, and why does Tom Cruise still think he's a stunt man? I don't know, but it's still happening, and there was a time when he was just over these movies, and now he's back for all these movies, killing his body, and probably have a whinge about another 3 years about it. But Mission Impossible 7 and 8 will be a year behind when you were expecting them, if you really cared. Speaking of things you probably don't care about, the Aristocats. You remember those lovable creatures? The Disney animated 1970 originals, some Persian cats trying to find their way home, going on a bit of a journey. Yeah! Disney are doing the thing. Making live actions of things that don't need a live action. Aristocats. Why? Disney have too much money and they're just giving up on original ideas, even though when they give an original idea, it does really, really well. But then they go, but what have we done 40 years ago that we can pedal back out now, back into the world? Disney, you fucked up with live actions before. You got to know when enough's enough and when to fucking stop on the live action remakes. We don't need them. The Aristocats are something that no one gives a shit about anymore, unless for a couple memes on the internet. The cat's falling through the roof, yeah. That's about it. That's all you're good for. Scream. Scream is apparently doing well in the box office. It's currently boasting a 77 to 83% score on Rotten Tomatoes, which for a slasher movie, 5th in a franchise, that's pretty good. Scream's doing pretty well. It's raked in a box office of $60 million against a $24 million budget. It's making a bit of money. It knocked off No Way Home for doing a weekend box office. No Way Home still made $1.6 billion. Give Scream a couple mil. Let's throw them a bone here and there. They came back. They did some good things. From what I'm hearing, I haven't seen them. I did finally watch the first Scream the other night with Jack, Alyssa, and with Brooke, and it was good. I enjoyed that first Scream movie. I'm not going to lie. It was a good movie, which from something a little bit older had its flaws, but we know what I'm like in this show with older movies. It is what it is. I probably don't like them. And last but not least, the weirdest part, Weird Al Yankovic has a biopic movie coming out. The streaming service Roku have got the rights to make a documentary biopic movie about one Weird Al Yankovic with Daniel Radcliffe playing Weird Al. Who would have seen that coming? I don't know. Daniel Radcliffe just gets these movies just like it's nothing. So I don't see it, because if you've seen Weird Al, it's kind of hard to be that guy. But we've seen things happen before in cinema, and it's not out of the realms of possibility. So whatever happens, we'll see what happens. But it is going to be called Weird, the Al Yankovic story. So if you like Weird Al and you want to see him in his life, get to where he is, yeah, sure, it's coming out. You might like it. But that's all the news for the week. So let's go jump into our main review of the week. All right, our main review of the week. We are here this week on the first episode of Season 5 to talk about Nightmare Alley. Nightmare Alley, released in 2022, should have been released a lot earlier. Directed by Guillermo Del Toro. This is based on the book from 1946 of the same name, written by William Lindsay Gresham. Runtime of 150 minutes. This is a really fucking long movie, and we'll get into it when we get there. Budget of $60 million. It's only boxed in about $9.5 million it's not doing great. But the Rotten Tomatoes score, 80% with the critics, 68% with the audience. Critics are liking it a bit more. Audience is sort of like, eh. And that falls with the runtime. But don't let it deter you from the star-studded cast that we've got, which we've got led by Bradley Cooper as Stanton Carlyle, Kate Blanchett as Lilith Ritter. Jesus, my God. Toni Collette as Xena Crumbine, Willem Dafoe as Clement Hoatley, Richard Jenkins as Ezra Grindle, Rooney Mara as Molly, Ron Perlman as Bruno, David Strathairn as Pete Grumbine, and Mark Povinelli as Major Mosquito, as well as many more. There's a lot of people in this movie. There's a lot going on in this movie. Basically, Nightmare Alley, the main premise of this, a man with a dark past searches for somewhere to belong and project his life forward, stumbles into a carnival and quickly picks up his talents with wordplay and gestures to become a master mentalist. Making it big with his partner Molly, he runs into psychiatrist Dr. Ritter, who with some tricks of her own, lures him down a darker path than he ever thought he would be on, eventually realizing he has become everything he sought to avoid. So, Nightmare Alley is a American noir type film. It is something that you would have seen back in the early 40s, which there was an original movie adaptation to this in 1947. Same name, based off the book, exactly how it is. Del Toro came out to say that this isn't a remake of that film. This is a re-adaptation of that book. Now, if you know Guillermo Del Toro from the stuff he does, Shape of Water, Pacific Rim, Hellboy, he's very particular in his directing style. He's always working with a lot of supernatural type entities, whatever else, what have you, monsters, let's say. So he wanted to readapt this into something a little bit more darker, a little bit more grittier, but without any supernatural beings in this. And this comes down to one of the first movies that Del Toro has done something without the use of the supernatural. No monsters, no out of the norm type deal. So it's a very straightforward, dark, in your mind, creepy type of movie more than anything. So, getting into it. Do I like this movie? This movie was okay. This movie had... we'll get to the runtime to start it off with. It's a slow movie. And it's a slow-burning train just pushing itself through a carnival, basically. And for the first, let's say, 45 minutes, it's not clear what sort of path we're going on for this movie. There's no direct plot of, hey, this is why Bradley Cooper's character is doing this. This is why he's meeting this person. This is why this person is now involved. There's not a lot of that. It's just sort of like a ball is just rolling down a hill. And it's just picking up little pieces of characters here and there and going, yeah, we'll make something of that down the track. Eventually it does roll itself down that hill and get to that point. But you got to go through a lot of like barbed wire and sludge and really try and fucking find something to cling on to, being like, okay, I get where this is going. Now, unless you've sort of read the book, which, let's be honest, you probably haven't because it was published in 1946, I don't think you've probably read it. But if you have, let me know. So you can sort of understand, okay, the movie starts off, it's very dark and ominous. Bradley Cooper is burying a body in a house and setting a house on fire. You don't know anything about that till much, much later in the movie. So it starts off very dark, that there's something sinister, I guess, about Bradley's character. Possibly, maybe. Who knows? Then very quickly stumbles into a carnival and starts working there, basically. Bit of a stagehand, moving shit, and eventually becomes a mentalist. That's the whole premise. He learns from Xena's partner, who was a very talented mentalist, but warned to never do seances, never try to speak to the dead, because it's just, it would drive you to madness. And that's sort of where we're going with this movie, is pushing yourself too far in the name of money. And that's what Bradley's character really does in this. Now, Bradley Cooper he's good in this movie, but he's good in a way where if you're fine to see him smoking for 95% of his performance, sure, that might be your thing. There is 5% of the movie he doesn't have a smoke in his mouth, And that's probably because it's just impossible for him to have one at that moment. Any other time, he's straight pack. He's smoking that fucking much. I'm glad they use Hollywood fake cigarettes because goddamn, the dude's lungs would be absolutely fucking dead by this point. So he's marred by not doing a lot, and it's when he gets into his mentalist states, then sure, his acting comes up and projects itself in. You go, oh yeah, Bradley Cooper's a great actor. But driving this whole movie, you've got all these other characters working in here. So you have the likes of Willem Dafoe. Well, he's not as much of a main character. The points that he raises in this film are very valid and serves an integral part to the story. He's not in it much, but what Willem Dafoe does is great. Ron Perlman, same deal. You see him 4 scenes, 5 scenes, not doing much. Be strong, man. That's his gimmick. Is he's the strong man, the world's strongest man. These are carnivals in the 1940s, is what we're looking at here. So it's all that all of that jazz there. Toni Collette's character is the original mentalist. She's the one who says, oh, I can read minds. I can, I know your loved ones are here, but she always says, you tell them it's fake by the end of it, so you don't give them too much hope and lead them down the wrong path. But this movie just keeps plotting itself along, and you're just not understanding where the payoff is going to come. Am I expecting something horrible to happen? And you have brief moments of that. You have these part man, part beast, which is just Willem Dafoe gets these homeless, drunk people off the streets, offers them a job as a geek, which is literally just, hey, we're going to feed you a lot of alcohol, and just when we're about to take it away, that's when you're going to really slip into our hands. We're going to get you to eat fucking chickens for real. And that's what happens. Horrible, gruesome scene. It's Del Toro's work. It's always going to look great when he does something like that. But as it goes on, you're not thinking, what comes next after this? It's just, okay, there's some dark deception going on between Bradley's character Stanton, who's falling in love with Molly, and he's learning the tricks from Pete Crumbine, which is Toni Collette's character's partner, who starts to become a drunk himself. He's got this book of all these tricks, of his mentalist tricks, how they, signify words and hand gestures and tones and everything to portray what they're trying to get across in their act. As he's drinking, Willem Dafoe's character specifically says, 1 alcohol is for drinking, 1 alcohol is for medicine, or something bad. It's wood alcohol. It'll kill you if you drink it. He says he's going to get him a bottle. It's not shown, but you're alluded to the point that he grabs the wrong bottle and poisons him and kills him. Takes his little book, and now he knows all the fucking tricks. He becomes big, is the whole thing. So, while the whole way going through, you bring in Cate Blanchett, who's the psychiatrist, to try and help him swindle out some more wealthy people. It's all about money at this point. Now the money ball is rolling, but you're not gripped in this story still. Not for me personally, at least. I'm not gripped in this. I'm just plodding along going, okay, this is just like normal shit that's happening like in the 40s. It's just so easy to swindle people out of this shit. And it's not until Bradley's character runs into Richard Jenkins, who plays Ezra Grindle, who's a very high figure that you don't want to fuck with, who has a very, very troubled past in which he lost his wife to a forced abortion. And he's abused women ever since because of the guilt he's felt and whatever. I don't know how that makes sense, but hey, bad people do bad things. It is what it is. Once that sort of kicks in, then a bit more of the creep factor settles in. A bit more, he's getting himself really, really deep right now. And your deception happens from Cate Blanchett's side of things. Then you've got some violence that happens in the last 10 minutes. And then the resolution comes around and everything comes full circle after this. But it's just not great, though, the way it's done. What I will give it, it looks great. Which is weird because it is a very dark movie. And there was actually some select cinemas that did get a black and white version of this film. To sort of add to the noir, 40s style of movies things going on here. Could have been cool to watch it in that, but I don't think it's going to really affect anything to do with this film at the end of the day. But from where they use their sets right, the utilization of certain darker factors and lights, it made it seem Del Toro's own in his direction and art style. So it is what it is on that one there. Yeah, pretty much it's an okay film. It just takes too long to get into things. But this is a movie that can really cater to a certain audience. And if you like the older American style noir type films, this could be really up your alley. But it is long and it's a slogfest. So it's hard to really just encapsulate yourself in this film. And, I can't take away from the performances of anyone else. Everyone in this movie did exactly what they needed to do. Excuse me. Bradley Cooper just smoked way too many durries in this movie for anyone to really give a shit about it at the end of the day. And, you got a semi-okay, based off a 40s book. Here's another crack at it in a different art style. The only thing I'll say is the best part of Bradley's performance was the very last couple seconds. So the end of the movie comes around. He's down on his luck. He's been scammed. He's been robbed. He's been shot. He's been everything. He's now turned into a hobo. He's drinking now. He's a drunk. He goes to a carnival a few years on after the events of him killing Ezra Grindle and whatever else, wanting to get a job as a mentalist. They say, no, we're full, but we're looking for a geek. Offers him some drink, and this is all back to the start with Willem Dafoe's character. This is where everything becomes full circle. Bradley Cooper, who killed his dad because he was a drunk and abusive man, hated alcohol with a passion because of this, and seeing what it does to man, has now fallen prey to this, has now become what he thought he would never become, who now says, Mister, I was born for this, to be a geek. That's all you have to that movie. That's the best part of that movie. Not because the credits just roll, but because it was the best delivered line in the whole movie as well. So there's not much else to it. Presentation-wise, Del Toro is fine with what he has to do with it. Predictability, the double cross from Cate Blanchett's character, not initially you could see happening, but very quickly you realize what would have happened by the end of this anyway. Where does this rank in Del Toro's work? Middle of the range, because he's done bangers, he's done okays. This is in its own sort of realm because it's so different to what he's done before. I like what he's done with it, but as a movie, I'm not going to watch this again, basically. That's plain and simple where we're going to go with it. But that's Nightmare Alley. It is out in cinemas, if you want to go see it in cinemas. If you want to go to your P.O. box, you might find it in your P.O. box there. But if you want to venture out into the old American style of movie, this is a good little crack at it, rewinding the time. You might enjoy it, you might not. For me, this is just that middle of the road. Yeah, we'll keep it neutral in this one here. So that is Nightmare Alley. Let's finish off with some questions. Alrighty, thank you all for sending the questions. It is the same few that I hoped would come in for this episode here. So let's rattle through and get these off. If you want to send me any questions, go over to the Instagram. I'm going to say, do I call it our Instagram, my Instagram? Go to the podcast Instagram. Links in the bio, link tree to take you everywhere. Send me a DM. Just ask whatever. I'll put up a post asking for questions. It doesn't matter. You'll see after I read these out. It doesn't matter what you send me. So let's start. Let me bring it up here. Let's start with Jack. Would you rather have Michael Fassbender's dick or Mads Mikkelsen's acting ability? Mads Mikkelsen's acting ability. Dicks are dicks. We've talked about dicks enough. I'm happy with mine, and I'd like to act like Mads Mikkelsen. So I want the accent as well. Which movie do you think will disappoint you the most this year? Look, really, it's probably going to be Uncharted. I'm one of the only ones rooting for Uncharted to do really good. But obviously that movie has got so much potential to be a disappointment. It possibly could be that movie, so, what alternate hero origin would you like to see? Example, Batman not being rich. Ooh, that's a great one there. I could not even think. If it's a real alternate story, I'm not too sure. Got me on my fucking toes here. I mean, Batman not being rich would be one. That'd be pretty cool. Let's go. I mean, this is basically just what if, isn't it? Everything that happened in the What If series. Alyssa, how's Bradley Cooper's wanger? Strong. It's a strong wanger. If you could steal one of Brooke's birthday presents, which would it be? Did you see what she got? Probably fucking none of them. What am I going to do? Run a bath? Took a bath boy in? That's not for me, man. Was this movie predictable at all? For one, I didn't know where the story was going to begin with, so I couldn't predict even where the movie was going to go next. But as said, by the end of it, certain characters, you knew what their prerogative was going to be, and you knew a certain turn would happen here or there. Spearmint versus peppermint. Oh, nah, peppermint. Peppermint's the way to go. Brooke, how does it feel? It feels really, really fucking weird. For one, because I've got the new setup and the new light and everything. But knowing that this is the full time now, this is how it's going to be. So until I get used to it, it feels weird for now. Will Jack come back for Jackass? Maybe. But you're probably going to come for Jackass. Jack might. We'll see what happens. Maybe he'll come back sooner than you think. And we'll finish off with Chelsea. What archetype would you be in a murder mystery? I would be the random nutcase in the back of the room who very easily seems like he's the one that did it, but secretly I just know who did it because I'm so fucking like out of it and zonked. I'm just like, yeah, I probably did do it, but I know who did it though, and it wasn't me, but I probably did. I'd be that guy, the wacky zany one that's just like, maybe it was me, maybe it wasn't. Ooh, I don't know. Murder mysteries are fun though. I can't wait for Death on the Nile. That would be a very good one. That is on the board to come see. But that is all the questions. That is, I think, a decently run episode there. Hopefully, you've all stuck around for this one here. I hope I made it more easy to listen to watch. This is the first one in, so this could be all over the place and a mess. But thank you for sticking with me until I figure all this out anyway. Thank you for Jack for being part of the show for so many years to kick us off. Thank you for everyone for sending in your questions. Thank you for everyone for being around for the Twitch stream to send off Jack and hopefully still stick with me for the upcoming future endeavors. As said, the You Like That Extra still is happening. It's a more of a fan recommendation now. So you just got to hit me with a movie you want me to watch. Something old, something zany, something, anything. There's not going to be no voting for it unless too many people come in with a movie and, it becomes a mess. Maybe. But episode 40 coming out next week, Thursday, more than likely. The Green Mile, because one, I haven't seen The Green Mile. And I'll get a lot of flack for that. So I'm crossing off things from my movie list. I'm watching some old stuff. I'm pumping it out for the extra. It'll probably be even shorter than the main show. We'll see what happens, We just got to play it by ear and just see what happens. That's what it is. But if you want to find us anywhere, find me anywhere, the link tree in the description of everywhere you can find me. Instagram, Facebook, all over your socials, anywhere. Everything's going to change and it's going to be updated, but you'll find me there still. If you are listening on Spotify, you can now rate the show. So make sure you rate me 5 stars for this show. It will really help out and hopefully show that I'm delivering something decent to watch or listen to, wherever you are. YouTube, subscribe and like. That's the easiest thing to do. So, guys, thank you for joining me here. My name is Adam. I am the whole of the You Like That podcast. I'm probably going to have to change that soon, but I'm so used to saying it. Thank you for listening and watching. Until I see you all on the extra or the main show.